Hello.
Hey,
Good
Ben.
morning.
Good
morning.
afternoon.
Hello.
Happy
welcome,
American
everyone.
Stupid Time Change Day.
And the thing is, if you've got an American Stupid Time Change Day, why does our stupid British Time Change Day have to be 2 weeks later? Why can't it all just be the same day?
Exactly.
I was unaware that you guys even bothered to do it over there.
Yeah, I know. I was like, when we did it because we do it before you in the autumn, right? So we do ours last weekend of March. I think you do early November. I was like, oh, the Americans don't even bother with this ridiculous crap that we do twice a year. And then you did yours like 2 weeks later, and then now we've got the same thing again, haven't we?
The ridiculous impromptu intro for every mint week. We have Mrs Metal Crazy. Debbie Estes is on here today. We're doing our first stellar woman guest, and I think I see some love over there from one of her kids is hugging her. Yeah.
How many kids have you got, Debbie?
I have 3. My daughter will be 15 in June. This one just turned 7 in January, and my baby boy will be 5 next week.
Awesome.
Sweet.
A nice cross section there. My daughter's heading towards 15, so I know what that's all about. But yeah, a good cross section and nice fun ages.
I tell you, I know what it's like to be a. No, wait. No, I don't.
So Debbie, you're looking, may I say, all angelic sat there because
I know the background with the sunflower.
Yeah, it's my sunflower.
Yeah,
that is my pride and joy art piece minus my NFTs.
Yeah, so tell us the story about this piece of art.
Is this yours or someone else's? This is yours.
This is one that I bought, and it's a metal piece.
Nice. Now, so were you doing art before you got into NFTs?
Not really, just photography.
Okay.
Just capturing, things that I thought were beautiful, family moments, that kind of stuff, but nothing like this.
Right. Well, that's okay. I mean, photography is a form of art, regardless if it has to do with family photos or not. You're capturing, expression and things. So it's good to see someone quite so, what would you call it without sounding plain, like an average everyday person,
right,
getting into NFTs.
That's
I think
how I see it.
It's beautiful.
I'm just plain Jane.
Yeah, but we all have artistic expression somewhere deep inside of us, whether we've never done it or not, or we think we haven't. So this is really like a big part of what NFTs is all about. So it's good to have you on. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about your journey. What brought you here now with us two crazy folks? Tell us about it. Look at them. Look at this. This is what I have to put up with every week.
I know, right? Ben just being crazy. The other half started diving into crypto a little over a year ago. And at first, I wanted absolutely no part, anything to do with the crypto world. Everything was way over my head. I couldn't understand what anybody was saying. I didn't understand the difference in the networks. And then he bought his first gnaw bear. And he showed me gnaw bears. And I'm like, I want one. He's like, well, you're going to have to get into the crypto world to figure it out. And I started pouting. I'm just like, but I don't want to. You buy it for me. And he's like, no, ma'am.
No, you have to get into it.
You're going to have to figure it out yourself.
Oh, well, he could have helped. I mean, figure it out. I mean, that's like, oh, here, let me just throw you into the ocean of NFTs. I hope you land on a cushy gnaw bear to float around.
That's when he turned me on to Ben and made me start watching Ben's shows so I could learn how to do that. And then Christmas, he gifted me with some money to make my own crypto wallet. So believe it or not, I've only been in this since Christmas.
That's great, though. There's plenty of people that have only been in for a few months.
You've probably been, I would say, you know, I'm in a lot of threads. You're in the same threads and the communities, etc. And I'd say you've got to be. And I'm not just saying this because you're on the show now. But you've got to be one of the greatest contributors to, like, you know, all of the little ecosystems within Stella. You know, you're popping up here and there. And I know you said to us, you know, you got the 3 kids and you're a mum and a wife and you're juggling all the usual stuff that, you know, a lot of women out there are juggling, and you're still able to come and contribute, you know, a little message here, I'm sure, and a little message there when you're juggling the kids. And it's really good to see, you know, that you've only been in for those couple of months, but yet you're smashing it in terms of popping in and, you know, having a few words. And it's always really positive stuff from you as well, Debbie.
I have to give credit, you know, to, you know, like everybody's shows that pop up, you know, Sam's, you know, Twitter Spaces now, your Lumen Swap show, his Mint show, having positive influences. You know, Bear started and he poured a lot of information into us. Jack and, you know, Odin and some of these other guys that have really been the shaping block of me and my success, because they've constantly poured their knowledge into me in terms that even I can understand, and be able to contribute back to people who are new and be able to explain to them so they can understand to better contribute to our ecosystem.
It's this great chain reaction, isn't it?
It is.
You went from being, you know, very just feeling very alienated from the whole world of crypto. The terminology, the use of all the words. We found a word for everything in this space that isn't normal in a normal term at all. It's like the nerds tried the hardest to create their own world, and if you didn't get it, good luck. It's like, okay, all right, but let's bring this back to everyday talk. How do we make this, if this is supposed to be something everyone's supposed to get used to the next 6 months on to the next 20 years, it needs to be brought back down to an everyday human level, and not this crazy metaverse, virtual reality, existentialness that seems to come along. But what brought it to you into then becoming part of this and understanding more of it was simply something as fun and innocent as a bear. Yeah. Okay, you saw a pixel bear, you wanted it, and your husband was like, "Well, I got her. Now she's in."
Yep.
You know, he got you. But that's what's so great about this, is because now, you know, you're a part of the community. You're a positive force in the community. You interact with people all the time. You do your own stuff. You're a collector. Yep. It's a lot to say that, you know, you've only been in since December, but look at how much you've been a part of, right? And right. I think that's one of the things I love the most about also artist collections is, you know, Naw did the same thing that a lot of us do, is that, like, something connects with somebody,
right?
That art, the message, the personality, you know, and then they go, okay, all right, I get this. All right, I think I can start to understand this. This is, you know, really cool. And then it goes off from there. And before you know it, you're an NFT artist because
yep.
of the motivation and the inspiration that someone else just happened to give out of the fact of who they are. So it's one of those things that really keeps me going when I have my own problems with confidence in the whole process, you know. So it's just great to have you on, because I think that's another reason, like, it's not just about also just having purely artists on. You know, it's good to have the community people on. It's good to have the collectors on. It's good to see this thing that we do from other eyes, you know?
Right.
You know, because or else how will we really grow if we're not all contributing in some way to how it's done? So yeah, this is just awesome. Now, when we were talking earlier in the week, you mentioned you were working on a project with Rockin' Dixie.
I am, and
is there
lips
anything
are
you can
tied
talk
for
about?
right now.
You have to be loose. Nope, tight lip.
Yep,
All right.
tight
All right.
lip.
Well, that's fine.
Just understand that it's probably going to blow.
I think I know what it
mind.
is, and unfortunately, I also cannot say because she tells me and my wife like all the big like things she has on her mind.
Just know that it's going to be another elevated level to our ecosystem.
Great. That's the thing. Like, okay, so this is why I just wanted to bring it up. It is a little bit of hype. It is a little bit of tease, but the Stellar Women stuff is going to be a massive amount of content and innovation in this space that I think a lot of us are really in need of, and I think will help everyone in the long run. So I'm hoping soon we can start to share some of this news. I mean, the Stella collection that I came up with was the most public thing we could get out there at the moment, while everybody else tries to wrangle in like a lot of ideas. So I would look out for anyone that's watching this. Keep an eye on that on Twitter. Follow Rockin' in the free world on Twitter. Follow Debbie, of course. So
you want your biggest cheerleader. Reach Rockin' is your biggest cheerleader you will ever find.
She's like the stellar promoter, isn't she? I mean, she really like has like that. Like that's like her passion is to just get stuff out there. So it's really exciting to see like. She's not just she's also not just like a hype person like you could call like, you know, like when people like say a lot of stuff or they have a lot of ideas. No, she's deep in getting things done, you know. Like my friend here, Ben, to the side of me, when we talk, we're gonna get these things done and they take time, but it's one of those things that really it's really good. It's really good to see that there's so much going on. I wish you had something to say about it, but that's okay.
I think that too. Can I add one thing?
Absolutely.
I think there's two key areas that can really ignite Stella at the moment. I think, you know, there's lots of conversations going around about, you know, how we can increase people on the network, marketing, and those kind of things. And I think those are accelerating, which is great to see. It really is tremendous to see. But I think there's two things. I think one is women, right? And this whole, you know, this whole movement that I know that Dixie and yourself and Nola and, you know, I'm going to miss too many people out, so I don't want to make it an all-inclusive list. But, you know, you guys that are, you know, that are out there, you know, you women that are out there, sorry, that are, you know, crushing it in terms of, you know, bringing exposure and art and, you know, trying to blend, and also bringing a very real, I mean, you're bringing a very real vibe to it. I think a lot of people kind of maybe look at NFTs and crypto and think, oh, I couldn't do that. But there you are, you know, as a mom, and like I say, you know, living a real life and still being able to contribute into that world when it didn't exist for you just a few months ago. So you guys are one part of it. And I also think that then you've also got this other part, which is the innovation. You touched on Nor and, you know, pixelated bears and how you actually got into the space, and also paying it forward where, you know, you've seen something that's inspired you and you've gone, how I want one of those bears. And then, you know, that whole bear thing has led you to get more educated and to meet some cool people and to start off on your own and make your own little networks. And I see the women movement, and I see the and when I say women, I think also minority movement as well, ingrained within the women thing as well, as one big selling point for Stella. And then on the other side, the innovation that you talked about with Nor, you know, one of the reasons why I was drawn to Nor is because the way that his brain was working there, he wasn't happy settling into what is going on now. Right. He was trying to, you know, picture 12 months, 18 months down the track and how we can do stuff that isn't even being done. and finding those ways. So I think that to me is the two key areas that can really separate, because I like to try and think from a marketing standpoint, what are the use cases? How do we create the breakthroughs for Stella to bring a lot of people in? And if we can get real life people like yourself who have got no background, no experience, learning crypto and doing some artwork and making NFTs and creating a little, you know, their own little kind of ecosystem themselves within Stella, I think that is a real shining light for a lot of other people.
I think you're right, Ben, because it's one of these things that's like, for me, it shows the real world coming in and how that the people that aren't connected to this from just being on the internet and being like, well, I like tech, I like this, I like digital, I was already into cryptos, whatever. The people that are like, I'm not into cryptos, I don't plan on it. And then they're just out of nowhere, all right, you know what? I found out why I want to be into it. And that's what's going to change crypto, is the everyday person, again, has this sensibility because they're coming from their business ethics. So, you know, what their job was before they got into this. A lot of people are transitioning now as this being their career, but they want to know how it works, like everyday stuff, how we always view our lives already. So I don't think, you know, that can be a negative impact, because so much of it right now is people trying to basically talk over each other about how it works just from a digital world. How do we make people believe in the digital world? And that's a slow moving train, you know, that people are becoming more and more accustomed to the idea that the digital world holds value, you know. No, that's quite all right. And it takes people like that to make it real. You know, my wife, she's not a crypto person, but she is now because of my own interest through NFTs, and she found her own way, and she's a writer. She does the lore for JPEG DAO. Like that, those are things that are from a different space altogether. She never had a writing job until now. You know, now she does. NFTs did that. Crypto did that. Not publishing. But that's what she wanted. That's what she wanted to do in her life. She went to school for things like this. And it took a whole new industry to make that real. And I think that's worth more than anything, really. You know, it's really crazy. I'm going to pull up.
And to think that when I first started, you know, it's men, 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 men. You don't see too many women artists. So it drove me even more to take my everyday stuff and figure my own way into the NFT world. I've only been making NFTs since February, when I created a special piece for Valentine's Day for 9-Bit as a thank you for everything he's done for me.
That's awesome. See, this is like the other thing, like, is like it can be used purely for that, to create gifts for people. Like if you want to give someone a piece of art, but you're like, well, it needs to feel more special than just handing them the JPEG or whatever. And then you hear about NFTs and it's like, well, this is a new way to give people something to show that you care, you want to say thank you, or you just like it can be described as like what's the word? I'm sorry. Like a card, you know, like it's like you send someone a card to say you're thinking of them, but it holds no value. It's a piece of paper, and then like the value it holds is what it holds to them in their heart. What if you wrote that message inside that card, right? Right. An NFT, it is a lot like that in a way, that you are sending someone something that is special. You know, it can even be used in such a way that has something inside of it. You know, some cards have something inside of it. Now we're doing unlockables. So
I love that aspect too, for that reason. You know, you could almost create your own greeting cards with that unlockable content we have now.
Right. You basically can. So this is actually the NFT I have up at the moment is the one we're giving away that people are typing in Sleepy Beast for. So they'll be getting that later today. And speaking of things, so unlockable content is a new thing on Litemint. Now, let's say you are a person who makes an NFT. You would want to maybe give them something more. So in terms of that, what it is just a little like, it's like a hyperlink basically. So what happens with those is that when you create it, you know, let me see if I can bring it up here. Come up. Oh, come on.
I think there's two things, just while you're finding that, there's two interesting things that are popping up in the comments here. One is the greeting card NFTs. I love it. I mean, even just with
you're
sending it, and you have just a little message, you know, associated, attached to it as well, to that person. I think it's unique. I think it absolutely has a space. We don't send as many cards now as, I mean, you remember back maybe 15 years ago here in the UK, before the kind of digital revolution kind of really took hold. That was the done thing. Everyone would send greeting cards at Christmases and birthdays, and you would have, you know, it still happens, but not to the degree where you have strings in the house and the cards would all be hung on strings at Christmas. And, you know, there would be like, you know, maybe 50, 100 cards hanging around the house at Christmas time. From now, we've got different options, haven't we, if you are talented. And if you're not talented, you could maybe speak to someone who is talented, and then you could push some commissions that artist's way, get them to create a greeting card for you, and you know that can then be utilized by you, where you make 25 copies and you send it to people as something completely unique at Christmas time. It would be really, really cool, you know, to get an NFT greeting card or Christmas card or something. My mum started doing watercolors, and she's getting really talented, and she does flowers and things. And I just think, you know, she's kind of making her own physical greeting cards, but it would be good for her to get involved in the digital art space as well, and maybe make those.
Yes.
You see, I just stumbled. I just kind of accidentally like thought of it that way, because you think about like, I have so many family members that still send greeting cards every year. I don't send out greeting cards. I wish I could take up the time to do it. You know, it's very sweet how much time some of my cousins take that I haven't talked to regularly, and I still get a greeting card for Christmas. And it, you know, it hits me right in the soul, you know, but then it makes me feel bad. It's one of those things. But Ben's right. Like it was such a staple in society that we would send out cards for birthdays and anniversaries and holidays and thinking of you. And they're all like that. Is right. And they did try really hard to get us on the digital greeting cards there when the internet started to really take over. Yeah. They tried to do it through emails, through web browser things, and it like never quite took off. I would say watch out if these like if Hallmark decides to get into NFTs. I don't know, that might change their industry.
Well, with what we were talking about on Drift, and I spoke to you about it, we're not releasing that yet with regards to this lockable content.
Yes, there's an unlockable content idea.
Combine the two, so the greeting card and what we spoke about last week. And then think of the power of that as well. Yeah,
it's the same thing. This is how you tell your grandmother what it is, right? Like this is how you get everybody to understand. Everyone's like, "Well, what's an NFT?" It's a digital greeting card with really fancy artwork on it, or it can be anything you want. But essentially, it's so it's like, you know, and it's not to make it bland or like, you know. I don't know, as the kids would say, boomer like, but you know, it's just about relating it back to something that already has existed, right? So, you know,
I love that Nick Green comment.
So, the example here is I have a Stellar Punk up here. that had sold recently, and it's got a piece of unlockable content. So you got your NFT art, and your unlockable, when you click on it, comes up like this. And what I'm giving out for that one was the sketch of the finished NFT product. So the person gets a second piece of artwork that they can just download and keep for themselves, or color if they want. I mean, I've thought about doing coloring books because really that's all that is. It's just unfinished artwork anyway.
She needs to call Hallmark. Yes, she does.
So that is one example. Other ones are like the comic strips. I've collected what's already in the story to give to people as PDFs. So if you own the first print run of the comic strip, I'll be getting to the other ones soon. Go check out your NFT. It's going to have... Actually, I sent out the link. You can look at it. This is the thing that... Okay, so let me educate people a little bit here. So when you create a new unlockable piece of content for a previously minted piece, it shows up on your homepage. Is this still up? Yeah, it is. Right here, where it says, like, I have these adventures of Lady Punk unlockable content. It makes a new item every time you create unlockable content from your collection. So that then is a hyperlink that you have to send out to people if they don't know about it, or they can just go right to the homepage of your collection. They do not, and I'm pretty sure they don't show up on the NFT itself. No, they do not.
So this is interesting because Sir Cheesley and I were doing an experiment the other day.
Okay.
And I took one JPEG, I minted it as an NFT. I went through the create unlockable content. I then added what I wanted as my unlockable content. I created it, put it for sale. He bought it and says, "Oh, there's no unlockable content." So what's what? Because I emailed them, I was totally confused of what I had to do. I did all the steps,
and it said it had unlockable content on, and when he went to get it, it didn't have anything.
No, I just went through. You know, when you go, I think it's like create NFT, isn't it? And then as you go through, is it second or third step? It says add unlockable content that you can add on. Yeah. So I added that. I did what it said. I did the transaction.
You did the right token code. You had the right issuer. Well, it would have bounced off from the one you were creating anyway.
Yeah, and it didn't. It didn't have. So I was like, so is that just a glitch? And it normally does it like that fine.
It's been doing them fine for me. I mean, have you gone to the NFT to refresh the metadata? I mean, I guess okay. So Cheesley bought it, and he said it wasn't there either.
Yeah.
Like it literally wasn't like it wasn't on your end, like as a viewing. Okay. Yeah, so that sounds like a glitch. Yeah, that sounds like one got through by mistake. I know that, yeah, I would tell Fred about that because that's a big issue. I'm sure he'll figure that out and even see what had gone wrong on that side. Okay. He had mentioned yesterday, because I was in a space Sam's space yesterday, and Fred had mentioned how the unlockable content, he was working on a way that the unlockable content could, and don't quote me on this, maybe I understood him wrong, but it sounds like he's trying to add in a way for unlockable content to also be NFTs. So NFTs to unlock NFTs. It's going to take some sort of, there's something he's working on to make that happen, so that we're not just limited to the idea of giving out coupons or PDFs or MP4s or other linked stuff, that we could create NFTs as unlockable content. And I like that hard to innovate in the coding. He also brought up royalties, and he said that they would be coming soon enough as it is, but that they would be different from the average royalty setup, that they would have a couple of different options on how the creator can receive royalties. So I'm going to be maybe picking his brain a little bit on what he was talking about yesterday, because sometimes when I'm listening to Spaces, the audio drops in and out, and I miss.
Yeah.
So that sounds really interesting from my aspect to hear that he's thinking of new ways to change royalties, and if that's like the thing that's been haranguing him on the idea of getting it out, is that he really wants to truly do something different on Litemint, then all the more power to him. You know, I get that takes time, but it sounds like it could be closer to being rolled out than we thought in the last few weeks. But I would definitely contact Fred right away. Anyone who has any problems with any of their NFTs, don't wait around and wonder what you should do. Just send the Litemint account a message on Twitter or email. Message Fred. You know, he's very helpful. Go on Discord. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. They're not like other experiences you may or not have had on NFT marketplace.
Can you confirm that you can have lockable content that's not visible? So you know when you've clicked onto lockable content and then you can see what it is. From our side, if we were buying that, can it actually be hidden?
Can you wait? Could you like ask it again?
Okay. So if I'm looking at your NFT and your NFT says unlockable content, yeah.
Right.
If we got like a cross.
We've got. I hear somebody else talking on your end, Debbie.
Oh yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. Oh, hey. Sorry, it was hard to hear Ben on my end because it was coming right through the speakers.
So all I was asking is that, you know, if I was to buy an NFT off you, right, and then I see that you've got unlockable content,
right,
is there a way that I can't see that? Because I would like to say do some stuff that's hidden, and that you don't get to see what it is until it's bought.
Well, that's the thing. So like you can choose what kind of picture you want to have as your viewing for the unlockable. So like, let's say, okay, let me bring this back up. Let's say you're over at here we go. Let's say you have the comic strip, right? The image I shared here is not the image you're getting. That's just the preview image I had picked. So the thing that you're getting there is a PDF, and you're not going to see the image of the PDF because the PDF is just a collection of images. So that thing that you're downloading, you won't get to look at until you press this. You're not going to get that item. So I guess it's up to the person to say what that is that they're sharing, because when you click on it too, it just brings up coding, you know. So like,
so you're just putting a little thumbnail, a little placeholder in there. That's
right.
all.
Right. Now you could say that I made the mistake, right, of showing people what they're getting for owning this one, right, with the sketch. You could say that. I don't, you know, you click on it, it opens a link with coding. It says that I could save image, but I don't really know what that means. Let's see what saves. You know what I mean? Like if we're worrying about something of that nature, I don't know where it went.
What I was so from my perspective, it might be that I was trying to do like a YouTube link. In the YouTube link, there would be information about something else they had to do somewhere else they had to go to get X or
I
Y.
think I know what you're trying to say. Like, let's say we're playing a puzzle game and you're trying to lead people, but you're not trying to give anything away, right? Let's say we're talking about, like, we're playing some sort of NFT game that requires a bit of mystery, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be about hiding, and it's just about what you're choosing to be that image thumbnail. It could be nothing. It could be black. I mean, so It could be something that is in itself a clue. You know,
so,
and then
so all we could have as a placeholder is unlockable content here, and then like a little arrow or something like that, you know, and that's it. That's all we could put in. It doesn't really matter what it is.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because it's about the item that you've uploaded, right? So that just takes up the space that they allocate, you know, the 100 megabyte limit, and then the thumbnail takes a part of that, which is like kilobytes. So who gives a crap? So that's how that works. Yeah, it's essentially whatever you want it to be. It's not requiring you to like say, like if you were making, now that's where the thing would come down to. If the unlockable content was then an NFT, then that's very specific to the image that they're going to be looking at as unlockable content. Now, you know, now it would be great if there was some kind of option that was on their end, not our end, that you could select out of focus framing, so you could hide what you're selling and reveal when it's bought. That way you could also get rid of right-click savers outside of the non-buyers, because then they're looking at a blurred image. Now, that doesn't necessarily sound appealing to people, right? But if there was a smaller image that they clicked on to look at what exactly they were looking at, but it was so small that it wasn't worth stealing, at least then you would know what you're getting at the same time. But you know, those are the kinds of things I think about from a perspective of like mystery reveals, adding some sort of more like randomness to people that want to have that sort of feeling of like, oh, well, I bought an NFT from a collection, but I don't necessarily want to know which one it is, because so many of these like the minted like the two mint collections, the generated ones, when people go on Ethereum, they throw money randomly at a wallet, and then that wallet spits them out an NFT. That's like going to a very expensive coin machine and going, I want that bouncy ball that's in there. That's $500. I hope I get the bouncy ball that I like for $500. That's essentially what we're talking about when someone's like, I'm minting randomly for an NFT. Oh, I got the one that's got a pipe and he's got rainbow teeth and he's crying. I guess that's rare, you know? So, you know, I try to think of those things that seem to attract people to NFTs that we don't have on Litemint. We don't have those kinds of things on Litemint. We don't have multi-mints. You know, every mint has to be done individually. Some things have been worked with Fred to be larger minted collections at one time. Like I think there were 400 eyeballs minted one day for a collection. That slowed everybody else's mints down by a lot that day. It was kind of funny because we were all like wondering, so what's taking so long? And we're like, wow, 400 eyeballs. Interesting. They're beautiful. There's so many different irises and things, but like, I don't mean to make fun of it. It's, but it's amazing to think that's like, that's a lot for something, you know?
I saw the strange green man again. Wait, are you an alien?
Exactly.
It felt like I was dreaming, but I was excited.
Heather says, what would help Debbie as a new artist?
Yeah, good question. Good question.
That is a good question.
I have just been scrolling through Litemint, scrolling through Twitter, and looking at all of these different artists. Like Damien Forensis shared a brand new artist nobody had ever heard of. And in doing so, opened my eyes to a whole nother female artist, which in turn, I was able to share her artwork because I went and bought a piece and opened it to even more people. So being able to see everybody sharing different artists, that because scrolling Litemint is hard, y'all. I think it's tiring when you're trying to look at all of these different inspirations, and I just it's not just NFTs I look at. I love art. I love to scroll the digital art galleries that people will post up. And just look at what other people do that inspires me to keep going.
Your eyes are like a computer processor. I use this analogy a lot, is that we're constantly looking at things, and our brains are figuring that out, you know, even when we're not necessarily consciously thinking about that. And that creates new ideas, you know, and sometimes they hit you right away. Sometimes it could be weeks from now. You know, I think the other thing that I would give as a suggestion is also just trying different programs for making art, you know. I don't know what you have, like if you're using just like your laptop, or if you have like an iPad or something like that.
My phone and the laptop.
Your phone and laptop, right. So I think, you know, once you get some more art sales, try to maybe find, you know, save up for a way to up your own experience, you know, so you can grow yourself. But there's plenty of things you can do just from your laptop. I mean, you don't have to get, you don't have to throw money at one of these things, an iPad. You could spend.
Mr. T, you're right there.
Right, level art, right. It's some of there's some drawing tablets that are just literally like they're like a mouse pad almost with a pen, right?
Yeah.
And you could learn how to look just like this, like I'm looking at you right now, but you're drawing. Okay. Those cost like $40. You know, they're not terribly expensive for a person to up their game just a little bit and learn a little bit more if they can. So and there's so many programs that are free. You don't have to spend any more money on programs. And
Artflow.
Artflow, emotionally.
Yeah, Artflow is one of the big ones that we like to use.
Drawing programs like Sketchbook. I think Procreate is free, but they do a lot of stuff that's paid now.
Yeah, Procreate's only for Apple. We've got Android.
Okay, yeah. So
we
here's the difference.
Looked at that one, and I'm just like,
yeah. Sketchbook is what I use all the time. It has all the same things that Procreate can do. It doesn't have as many textural options, but Sketchbook was originally an Adobe Autodesk product. They went independent. They are both Android and Mac. So you can get it on your phones, you can get it on your PC, you can get it anywhere available, and it's completely free. They do have a paid like subscription one for something, like some extra things, but it's really not worth it because you can do enough with the pens that are available to you just by playing around with them, because they're all completely customizable. That's the thing. Like, it's very easy once you start to do it, that it all comes down to just layers and different pen textures and things. Like, you can even upload backgrounds for textures, and people are like, how'd you do that? How'd you make that texture look like that? It's like, well, I took a photo of an actual texture and I uploaded it as the background layer and added then in a shadowing layer of the same duplicated. Like, that's how you create that stuff. And people think it's like a mind-numbing amount of experience. It can be very simple. So I would encourage just anyone, really, aside from you, just play. That's my advice.
And your little nuggets of information like that continue to foster ideas and continue to push.
It's all layers. I did one stream months ago. I was working on a Stellar Punk now, months ago. I can't believe it. So it's on the page, but I'm going to do more because I feel like there's enough people that want to pay attention to it. It was one thing that I wanted to do this kind of stuff, and I didn't have anyone that really cared about me drawing. So I'm happy to share any sort of knowledge that I have, really.
How do you like it?
Yeah.
I think it's the same here. Like bottoms up has just said about, you know, a girlfriend using it's like any program, isn't it? I think that artistic ones are particularly challenging because, I mean, I just use, say, Photoshop very, very, you know, high level on just a few things. And, you know, Photoshop, one of the instructors on Photoshop was saying he's been using that for 20 years and still can't use about 80% of it.
Yeah, because it's not user friendly. It's never been user friendly.
to. He doesn't
Never
need
has.
to. He uses what he needs to use, but he doesn't do 80% of the other stuff. And I think it's the same what you're saying now. You'll find your own, you'll teach yourself and find your own little tutorials and that to get your grist. But you probably won't use the whole package, will you?
No. Adobe shot themselves in the foot with the day that they were like, we're going to charge an absurd amount of money for our programs, but then we want you to pay every year. And then, we're going to change them constantly. That's why there's so many programs available on like Apple and Android that are people that are developing programs to cut them out, because they're simplifying the things that Adobe does that makes people feel really alienated to using it. Like I went to college and had to learn this stuff basically on my own, even though I went to college for it. The professors suck ass. To bring it down to a simplest level possible is that they didn't know what they were doing, and the industry was changing so quickly. This was 2008, and it was like, you better get used to digital because it's going to take over everything. And everybody was just like, no, it won't. Yeah, all right. But God, I found Flash animation to be easier to do than using an Adobe product. And there isn't Flash anymore. They got rid of Flash. They made sure that Flash was never going to be used again. They told people it was easily manipulated by hackers and that they had to get rid of Flash. But really what they wanted to roll out was HTML5 and get everybody coding that did any sort of graphic animation to use HTML5 over Adobe. So Adobe said, all right, cool. We don't want to use it anymore. We'll adapt to HTML5 and tell everyone it's a dead thing. It worked fine. Anyway. I'm sorry.
Shall we do our draw?
Yes, let's do our draw. It stopped me from ranting.
1 minute to type in Sleepy Beast.
Sleepy Beast.
If you write Sleepy Beast, if you haven't already, I think we've got about 12 people in the draw. Yep, 12 entries. So if you haven't already done that, type Sleepy Beast into the comments if you're watching on YouTube, and then we'll do the draw for the Dreamy Monster from Debbie. We're looking forward to who's going to win that. So if you haven't done it already, get on with it.
What I love about that piece is the fact that so many people can see so many different things. To me, I see a one-eyed monster with hair and teeth, but other people see two girls on a psychedelic trip, is what Dixie said. I love that so many people can see so many different things off that one piece of artwork.
Well, that's the thing I think most people don't totally get by what would be called otherwise, abstract art, is that when some people are like, oh, I don't get it. Well, that's because you're not trying to get it, or your mind isn't letting you, and that's why people like it, is because then their minds loosen up and they see things, and it's just one of those things. I see a very posh monster. I mean, that beard, it looks well groomed.
I spoke to an artist on Stella and I said, look, I just need some more mushrooms to appreciate this. Right? You know what I mean? It's like I was looking at this piece of art, and the more I looked, the deeper it went, and then there was just that much going on. I said, man, I need to go back to my mushroom munching days to really appreciate that. And then he came back to me and said, that's really interesting you say that, because I actually drew that on mushrooms. I was like, no way.
Nice.
So,
that's the art world.
That exactly. But talking about being on the level. I mean, you see when I've been to the Louvre and places, and you see people stand there and they'll look at a piece of artwork for 10 minutes or something. I'm just looking at it, and you think maybe they're seeing something that I just don't see with that. They're on a different frequency or whatever. They're just appreciating that in a different way. And I think that's art, isn't it? We all have our own way of kind of appreciating it.
Remember when they were literally trying to drive us crazy in the 90s with those posters that were all pixelated, out of focus stuff? And stare at it long enough until you see a sailboat. And you saw those people in the mall looking at fuzzy images for for an hour and a half or more. Like, what are they doing? Oh, well, they're trying to see that image on that poster. That was really NFTs.
Right, exactly.
I remember, what was it like? It was like 2010-ish. They were doing digital canvas stuff. Like it was in frames. You could see them at malls. You would see those like those gallery those little kiosk setups of artists with like frames of stuff that would move. It had LED stuff in it. It had like basically just a lot of like little tiny light bulbs behind the screen. Like they were like this thick, right? And like it had a whole bunch of stuff in it that made everything move. They never took off. They cost like $1,200, $5,000. It was like insane to think that was probably someone putting millions into new tech that they just ended up ditching for TVs, because HD TVs just then took off like crazy.
Boys, quick.
When I think about that stuff, when I see like what artists were like trying to do before things were taking off in this space, it kind of blows my mind that it was early NFTs, because now people want to buy digital frames and put them in their homes.
Yep. Okay, let's go for the screen share.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to run the...
He forgot what he was doing.
No, I was talking about mushrooms, and then all the trip heads have just jumped on and said, "Yeah,
I know, right?"
All right, well let's give away Dreamy Monster. There he is, and then
Renegade, Hollow, Doblo, RD.
Okay.
The Dreamy Monster.
Is
Mr. T going to snag this one today too?
No, surely not.
No. Oh,
there we go. Yeah.
Nice.
That's a suitable winner, Debbie. To
we got a Null Bear collector winning. There you go.
With Odin being a big supporter, it's great to see hit Odin.
Oh, so this is set up then?
No. It's just awesome to see somebody who's done a big push.
Yeah, it is. It's really good that Odin's has won that one, because I know that he's tight in what we were talking about at the start of the show as well.
Congrats,
with like noise, impact and influence on things that we're doing at the moment. So that's great. I'm really, really glad.
Or message me on Twitter and send me your wallet. And the next one we are giving away. We'll try to get to this one quickly because we're already almost at an hour. So
this one is
the
collaboration piece. So whoever gets this one gets the very first collaboration collection of the Crazies to ever hit Litemint.
Get your first Metal Crazy collaboration.
So this one, Wonderland Space. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was Dixie and her Reach Rockin' that coined the phrase modern day Alice. And I just ran with it because, when she said that, it just clicked in my brain that I was like, this is totally something I can roll with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She's great.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I love it. I think it's brilliant. That is fantastic.
And this one's got motion.
Yeah, exactly. At the back. That's what I'm really liking about it. Draws your eyes to it, doesn't it?
Special one. Looks rare.
There probably won't be another one like it because that was a lot of work.
Nope. Got some sound in there too. Nice.
Okay, so we are now on. Type Looking Glass in the comments for a chance to win a fab Wonderland Space NFT. Type
awesome.
Looking Glass in the
Looking
comments.
Glass. Let's see those Looking Glass comments. We'll get as many in as possible.
Yeah. We'll draw it when we get more than
we rolled with my modern day Alice collection and his, because was currently working on, those aliens in space. Abstract pieces, and it was kind of nice to just tie them both together.
Will you be doing another Wonderland piece?
I just put a Wonderland piece up last night.
Okay.
which it was my ode to beer token. We'll put it to you that way.
A beer ode.
Yes. But I've got more. I've got more in the works.
Good.
But it still continues to blow my mind. I've only been making NFTs since Valentine's Day.
Well, I think you're doing a great job.
I think you are. I think that's amazing. Amazing that someone could go from a standing start to creating artwork in this short space of time. You know, it's brilliant, and it's an inspiration to, like I say, when I say normal people, I don't know what they quite resemble, but normal people out there, regular people who are just doing their normal, living their normal lives, can move into crypto with relative ease.
And I've got a philanthropy project I'm piecing together.
Okay. So. You guys have had a lot of horrible environmental problems where you're living in the Florida area.
With the wildfires currently burning over 33,000 acres.
How long has that been going on now?
Since Friday last week.
Okay. Is there any way that if anyone wanted to maybe help out in some sort of charity or contribution, should they contact you? What are you guys doing?
I'm currently helping a national nonprofit organization called PAC 22. They have a program called Hybrids and Heroes. We rescued 30 plus wolf dogs from a ranch. 3 of them were pregnant. And we have relocated them to a new home, but each enclosure for these dogs is $3,500.
Okay. All right. So, we need to get
this is something I want to possibly get maybe a philanthropy project going on, to where I can provide them with the much necessary resources that they need.
Well, maybe we can, you get some NFT auctions going or something to raise some funds,
Because anything that gets sent to me, I know Jack was sweet enough to already donate some, which I really appreciate. Because this is a passion I didn't realize I had until I met my first wolf dog. Mm-hmm. And they take these dogs, they rescue them, and then they train them to become service animals for our veterans.
Wow. Okay. Well,
so can you give me, because I think wolf dog as in like a wolf, I assume it's not a wolf, right?
They are hybrids. They're wolf hybrids.
Oh, okay. And what are they bred with? So to give me some idea, because I love that kind of look.
Some of them are Siberian Husky.
Most of them are like a husky wolf mix. I will be putting up, y'all can watch Twitter. As soon as we get the dogs cleaned up from all of the ash and soot, we'll start being able to post pictures and videos. But the owner just doesn't want me to portray these dogs in a bad light, because a lot of people already hear wolf and assume the worst. And these dogs are the most lovable creatures I have ever met in my life.
This is what Google will tell you a wolf dog looks like.
And that's a lot what they look like. They're a mix.
Is this accurate?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean,
one of the owners is into crypto, so we would that's why I figured maybe a philanthropy project,
we should figure something out. We should figure out some NFTs to maybe try to raise some awareness and some funds. I want to help.
He wants the hubby and I to help him create wolf NFTs for each one of the dogs, so that way each of them have their own, and then everybody can have a piece of art with a certain dog.
That's interesting.
We would, I think Drift Exchange would happily sponsor that as well. So as a project, because
I'm sure the DAO, would be.
Yeah, we'll happily chuck some funding into to getting some cool wolf NFTs and that.
People would want them.
And that was just something we talked about last night when I went to go see him and drop off some much needed supplies. Because I found out yesterday he was into crypto, and I'm just like, "You're what? Yeah. You're into crypto?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." We started talking about a whole world of.
Yeah. Colette ran into a person at the post office. I think he either works at the post office or something. He's an artist, and she was like, "You need to get into NFTs." And he's like, "Well, I'll check it out on Litemint then." Yeah, so it's like this is how it works, you know. That's okay. Yeah, we're gonna get this. We'll figure out something, you know, make some sort of impact.
So, with that being said, we have now got enough entrants for our final NFT, which is the Wonderland Space NFT.
Wonderland Space. All right.
So we are going to draw that one, and we're going to see who is the winner. So off we go.
And giving this one away just hit me this morning. I figured it would be a nice addition to our viewers who support you and Mint.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
That's really kind of you.
Something else.
Hey,
look who's cheating now. Congratulations, Heather. You won the second NFT. You won the Wonderland space. She's excited. She's so excited. She's a mess. She's got a little collection of her own.
There was a craze in the UK about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and it's called cheaters. Yeah, and it was about people in the US who had relationships outside of their marriage or their girlfriend or whatever, and there was a camera crew that used to follow them around. And
I used to love watching cheaters.
Oh, cheater, yeah. So anyway, you two are both cheaters. We've got Odin and now Heather are on the winning thing.
Insider trading. I'm calling insider trading.
You've done some kind of coding to make sure that the giveaway.
Yeah. I was over here on her account just smashing the looking glass comment. I wasn't even paying attention to you guys. That's why I was ranting and rambling before I was actually cheating.
Well, I'm going to have to disappear because I've got rewards to dole out for.
That's quite all right, Benny. I'm sure you got your other show to go. Debbie, Mr. and Mrs. Metal Crazy, it's good to see you, sir. I hope to have you on soon too.
Okay.
We'll see who's on next week. I'm trying to figure that out. Nola doesn't like to get out of bed at this time, so
she's probably just wrapped up in a quilt, isn't she?
She's like, no, I won't do it. She had to go on a 4-hour shopping trek today. It's it's fine.
I can just say, I think Glow's still listening. Glow, we're going to be rolling on your time, so I think that's an hour before for me because you've had the hour forward. So you stay on the normal time. And then I will change times to save confusion. I'll put a tweet out about that, tag you in it in a minute. So Lumen Swap Show will be rolling for you guys, same time in the States. Us, it's going to be the hour earlier at 6 rather than 7 o'clock in the evening. So I'm
looking forward to it.
Again, Debbie, thank you so much for coming on.
As always.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Sean, pleasure meeting you, mate, online.
You too, sir.
Have a great afternoon, whatever you're doing today. Speak to you guys on the Lumen Swap Show later on. Cheers.
See you next week.